Now, our final step, we want to go ahead and make the adjusted trial balance. We've done all the correcting and the adjusting entries. So our final step is to make the adjusted trial balance. And in order to do that, I need to total up all of my T accounts. So let's get new totals. If we have more than one account, more than one number in a T account, we need to total it up. So what I think is the best way is simply take the sum of all of your plus numbers and then subtract out the sum of all of your credits, in this case, all the minus numbers. And that tells me I still have $30,000 cash as my ending balance. We're going to do that now for all of the others that have more than one item. So this one only has one. I can just keep it that. There's nothing to total there. I can go ahead and balance this out. I don't need to sum anything. There's only one number. So our debit minus our credit. Prepaid advertising. We had this happening here. So we do have a balance. The 800 minus the 300. Nothing happening with the prepaid rent, so I can leave that alone. Supplies, I've already balanced it while I was doing it. And my accumulated depreciation, I can go ahead and update it as well. I don't have anything to subtract. I can just add these two together. Now, what I like to do at this point is go ahead and total all of my assets. This will tell me if I've got what my total assets are before I even do the trial balance to see if they will equal the other side of the equation. So I take the 30. I take my balance of everything, add in my AR, add in my other AR, add in my prepaid rent, add in my prepaid advertising. Make sure you do the balance if you have more than one account. Don't pick the 800. Add in my supply balance, add in my equipment, and now the final one, since it's on the credit side, remember it's a contra account, I actually need to subtract the 20 grand. So I'm subtracting this because all the others were debit balances. This one's a credit, and overall what that does is reduce my assets. So now the rest of them shouldn't be, as the assets usually have the most. So let's go through now and total up everything else. Got a balance, simply just add up. I don't have anything to subtract. Everything for GNC, I got 3,400 balance. Nothing to total for wages payable. We'll notice that my balance for unearned revenue is now 0 because these canceled each other out. Then I come over, and the only thing I have left is my notes payable. My balance is simply the plus number minus debit. So 22.9. Okay, let's do the same thing as we did with the assets. Let's get our balance for the liabilities. Take the AP for GNC. Add in my wages payable. There's nothing to add in here. My balance was 0. Now don't forget, this red line tells us I need to stop and then move over. And then the only thing left I have is my note payable, 22.9. So my balance of my liabilities. Owner's equity, none of our T accounts need total. They all just have one entry. So I can go ahead and get my owner's equity full total, parent total. Remember, it's on the credit side, so I need to add up my credits and or subtract out my debits. And I do have a debit, my other contra account. So I'm subtracting the 4,000, make sure you subtract, and then add back in the retained earnings, because it's on the credit side. So when you do that, you should get 18 grand. Revenue, I only have one account in the revenue section so far. Go ahead and total that, get a balance. And then that balance is simply our revenue balance, so 9,500. All right, the expenses. We will need to balance some of these. Advertising, we don't need to do anything with it. Rent, yep, we need to balance this out. Wages, definitely. There's lots going on here. So I'm going to total up all of my debits. And then subtract out my credit. Depreciation, that was the only item there. Supplies has the only one item, so no need to balance. All right, let's go ahead and total up our expenses. Interest, 2,100, and then we have the advertising all by itself. The rent balance, the wage expense balance, depreciation, and finally the supplies. I'll then update my liability account, and that will also, once my liabilities are updated, that will update my total, and now it matches my assets. So now I know that I probably got everything correct. And the final step is to simply then put those in correct order into a trial balance. So to do that, go ahead and prepare that. Remember, you always start with your proper title. Dr. K, trial balance, as of 12/31, and then whatever the date would be. Let's make this my debit column, and make this my credit column for the amounts. And then we're just going to put all of the accounts up and down through here. So cash, so we can get back rid of this. Let's pull up cash. We had 30,000. I'm going to get rid of these as well. I like to link everything so I don't have a typo. And then remember, you can combine ARs. You can do that on the trial balance as well. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'll go ahead and just combine them here. I'm going to combine them just to be a little quicker. We have the two ARs. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put AR net just to show that that's all of them. I'm going to do the same thing for our prepaid accounts. Net to show that this includes all of our prepaids instead of me listing each of them. And then we have our supplies. And then we total, then we have our final items, our equipment. and the accumulated depreciation. And note that the accumulated depreciation for the equipment is the credit balance. Now, what I like to do to keep things in nice, neat, and easy to read format, I like to skip a line to start doing the liabilities. It just makes it easier to read, having a little bit more white space. So I have my account payable. I only had one of them, so I could put net, but I only have one anyway of the 3,000. I'm not going to go through the rest of this. I think you can kind of see how we're going to do the rest. You can go ahead and do it. And then when you're all done, you want to total it out to get your debit and credits, and they should equal if you have all the credits in the right spot and all the debits in the right spot. And your final answer, I'll go ahead and pull that up. When you're all done, if you want to take the extra 5 or 10 minutes that it takes to do this, your final answer here should have been $77,700 as your total debits and credits. So this is the completed trial balance. We just did these up through here. If I would have continued on down through with all of the liabilities, owner's equity, revenue, and then the expenses, this is where you would end. So you may want to jot this down and just see if you get $77,700.